Welcome to this week's YouTube breakdown. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about progress. So I'll definitely still give exercise tips, but we're looking at realistic ways of progress. This exercise is going to show it really simply. So I'm going to show you 4 different exercises and we'll look at applications. It occurred to me I had never made a video about this, but I think in terms of 2% progress. Now for me, that's just a thought process that was ingrained into me by my original mentor, Charles Poliquin. So I'm very good at giving myself wins. I'm not hard on myself from week to week. And I think it's one of the reasons I've had really good joint results is because I'm never chasing a PR over being okay with better form or something like that. But let's look at some really specific application of this. So I have a dumbbell here, and you're going to notice 3 different magnets on it. So this represents, I just finished up my session, and I did this same session with this weight a few weeks back. Then the next week, I did it like that with another 1.25 pounds. And then the next week, like that. And now this week, like this. So that's now 3.75 pounds. So next week, I'll go up to a 5-pound jump. So I was using this on a row. The way I do this is I let it stretch at the bottom, but the idea at the top is actually to hold it pinned against the body for a second before going back down. I do this for shoulder bulletproofing and speed because what I've observed is that people who have more shoulder problems and who are not as good at top end speed, proportionally, oftentimes they can actually do a lot of weight in a chin up or things like that. They often have powerful lats and biceps, but they're really weak in that range. Regardless, just showing you the exercise I'm doing and why. Now, if I just say, okay, I'm gonna go from 45 pounds and next week, let me add 5 pounds. That would be 250 pounds a year. The human body doesn't work like that. So that means I would be setting myself up guaranteed towards some kind of either just doing that now, which again, that doesn't even mean that's wrong. It's not about debating exercise. I can already see anything you mention on YouTube. You got commenters coming in every angle. This is an exercise I choose. This is resistance. I'm telling my body to stretch out there, and then I'm telling it to be strong right there. Okay? Resistance training works. Just depends what you use it for. But not if I try to add 5 pounds every single week. Something is going to break down. I'm guaranteeing going toward failure. And oftentimes, when I would try that approach, I would end up changing my routine up too much to make substantial progress. So I found much better results now by just staying on really simple routines for 12 weeks, letting the gains accumulate. But this makes it possible. Now, I work out from home. Do you want to be the guy going into the gym with your magnets? Maybe, maybe not. My theory is every time you do something that you're doing because you believe in doing it, even though it goes against the norm or it might be embarrassing, I think you get mentally stronger every time you do that. So by all means, be the guy or girl going into the gym with magnets. But here's another way of looking at it. Let's say that you got 10 reps, okay? You could apply the same thing I'm applying by intentionally going up the next 5 pounds, but intentionally just doing 7 reps the next week, then 8, then 9, then 10. You would be able to follow this same process. So you could also just use 4 reps there. I don't even care if you're doing 5 reps and you just do 2. But what if you know you go up 5 pounds and instead of trying to yank out 5 again, which you know 52 weeks a year is guaranteed to fail, what if you just went, all right, go up 5 pounds this week, own that shit, stretch. You would probably make more sustainable gains over a year of just going for that 2%. Now, I'm not measuring every weight that I'm doing. If it's something like a double leg squat, I'm keeping it simple and I'm just adding a kilo each side or 2.5 pounds each side, whatever kind of, you got pounds, kilos, so it's not going to be perfect there, but that keeps it simple. If it's upper body, just instead of a kilo each side, just half a kilo each side. And this is close. A kilo would be 1.1, half a kilo would be 1.1 pound. So this is 1.25. It's pretty close. So you get the idea, 1.25 per side if it's an upper body lift and 2.5 per side if it's a lower body. But not every exercise is that simple, which is why we're going to take a look at now a totally different exercise, tibialis raise. Now this exercise, if I even tried to add 1 magnet every week or every session, because I currently have this 3 days a week in dense. but it's just really simple, just 3 sets aside, or if you have one of the double-legged bars, or if you have the wall, 3 sets. I range the reps depending on beginner. We're at working with 20 reps. Advanced, we're working down to 12 reps. But even 1 pound every session, like that is gonna overload things. It's gonna catch up quick. I might only last a few weeks of doing that. So that's why I wanted to show you a realistic take rather than just saying, boom, 2%, done. So I could take the approach with this of using that 4 rep system. So let's say I get 12, boom. Next time, keep it really simple. And it doesn't matter exactly. The point is I could just intentionally get 8 or 9 reps, and then the next week try to go for 10, the next week 11, the next week 12, boom. Then I could try going up. Let's see how that even works down there. Boom. Haven't tested that out yet. You get the idea. Boom, then I could go up like 1.25 pounds. But I just wanted to show you that it's not always gonna be perfect. It's also a mindset. And so within that mindset, you know how many sets of tibialis raise I've done without counting? Probably the majority of my sets. I probably haven't even counted the reps, yet did pull off this insane transformation of bulletproofing and athleticism. But that 2% rule I can apply because I'm just grateful that I can be doing something. Every rep, I'm getting more bulletproof. Every rep, I'm extending the rest of my life. I'm gonna be able to walk better. I'm gonna be able to run better. I'm gonna be able to dunk better. I did not used to be able to dunk a basketball off 1 foot. I was grateful enough that I could run up off a 2-legged jump. Was a terrible 1-legged jumper and gave up on it, thought I would never do it. This was key for me getting there. So now I can slam all this force and go up off 1 foot. Now I'm able, this was the first year I can just like easily do a reverse off 1 foot. So I'm in my 30s getting more athletic because of this, and I would be okay if I never counted the reps on a set ever again. Now, I would have that general idea, and in this case, I know that was more than 12 reps. So next set I would add some, although it just seems to work anywhere in that zone. So I think part of that 2% rule of progress is being grateful that you can train your body to be more bulletproof, to be more athletic. So I wanted to show you a realistic look on that tibialis raise, that even if you just went off this as a concept of being grateful that you can signal to your body. You see, I do still have to signal. I didn't just get more bulletproof from wishful thinking. There's no way anyone's done as much intentional overload training for these shock absorbers coming up into the knee. So you get what you put your energy on, and I put my energy on this with gratitude rather than being stressed out if I didn't hit a PR. So hopefully that one makes sense. And now this next one is similar, but even worse in a way. I apologize for not having a great angle on this one for you. It's because my phone would be in the sun, and I don't want to risk it killing my phone and losing the footage, which may not realize a lot of my videos, you were watching like the 3rd take after putting my phone in the refrigerator. This one sucks even more for the 2% rule. But in a way, maybe it's even more exciting. So I'll do a set here. I'm feeling that tension. Sometimes on those first reps, I'm just feeling the tension, just grateful I can even put that energy in. Not everyone is like trying to do something super impressive. Often close my eyes on reps like this to just feel it. So on this one, just fighting down, that alone can give you gains year after year after year. And that may be the most important hamstring exercise to protect the knee. I mean, you're literally resisting your knee being pried apart at the same angle your Achilles attaches. And every time you run or jump off 1 foot, you have to keep that strength going. And then when you have a hard plant, the weaker that is, the more undue force you're going to put into the knee. So like if you reached your leg out, boom, the weaker that is, the more undue force would be in the knee. These things work together. You don't want to be weak coming up through the knee. You don't want to be weak in the knee. You don't want to be weak behind the knee. So, and here I'm using $30 ProSource mat. I'm a fan of lots of thick padding. Some people don't use enough padding, and the discomfort. If you're like me and had fragile knees, just anything kneeling is like scary to think about and super painful. So this gives you a chance to get comfortable into it. This is a $35 Nordstick, just showing how simple this can be. But here's the part that makes me optimistic. I've done a lot of study on historical outliers, and one that I found it appeared from the training records that for 20 years, so starting in his teens all the way to winning a gold medal in his 30s with gray hair in the triple jump, his world record still stands. Look at the triple jump. It's the most, this is called knee, when you flex your knees this way, that's called knee flexion. And I'm not even advising to pull back up. From the records, it looks like he just worked every week for like 20 years, fighting down until that was like as easy as doing jumping jacks or push-ups. So I'm still not even close to where Jonathan Edwards was. And when he was in his teens, his country wouldn't even sponsor him for the triple jump because the orthopedic specialists, ones who look at the muscles and bones, said it's physically impossible for you to compete in triple jump. His world record still stands. This is why I get super fired up and super optimistic, especially when I've seen now hundreds and hundreds of times. My doctor says my knee will never do this. I'll never be able to do this again. I'll never be able. And then I see people playing with their kids again, playing their sport again. So even with athletic potential, I'm like, if I'm getting more athletic now in my 30s and I'm still just doing the basic, I'm super optimistic. And that's why I put the work in and I'm willing to be super boring and patient with stuff like this. Doing my 3 sets of 5 reps and 3 sets of 5 reps twice this week. Super boring, right? But still just putting in that signal to my body. So this one, I can't even really measure 2%. So this one I wanted to show you. At worst, we have some things where you'll probably have better ideas than me of how we could even apply the 2% rule of progress. So I just think of it like maybe if I just give my body that signal for years, decades, I can build to something that's inconceivable as my previous self avoiding it. All right, last exercise and closing scene. The first thing I was going to show you on this is we start this assisted, and you could start at a lower height. So like what would 2% be of assisting yourself? So that's very confusing. And you would just want to take a win. Idea, it'd be nice to work at 6 inches, but anywhere from 3 to 6 inches seems to work. It's a very personal exercise. Even if you stayed at a 3-inch step the rest of your life, I think it would still work. There's tons of these kind of things. I'm making mine, fortunately, thanks to social media. Someone's making these in the USA now for me, which is going to be amazing. But in the meantime, just search like squat wedge on Amazon. Some of them are super, super affordable, like 20, 30 bucks. So just the ability for me to do this with my own body weight, full control. Notice I'm only lowering to the heel. No pain. That's huge. But then like, what if I'm, add a pound. Are you doing 2% stronger of the weight you're holding? Not exactly. The row, you're just really lifting the weight. You're lifting some arm weight, but not much. Here, you're actually lifting like almost your whole body. Pretty much everything other than that calf, you're having to lift. So this is an example why I just try to have simple rules for myself. So you can see I was following my progressions, and I actually did 10 kilos each side, then I added half a kilo, then a kilo, then 1.5 kilos. This was my weight this week. I don't advise just jumping into these kind of exercises that strengthen your tendons, but just showing you some controlling down. And I did 10 sets of 10 in 20 minutes, because this is a single leg exercise. And that's what I wanted to conclude with. So Charles Poliquin was my original mentor, and then Keegan Smith has been my mentor since Charles passed. And Keegan was using this dense training where you're doing 10 sets in 10 minutes. Now, there's a million ways you could program stuff. This is just an example of something that works really well when you're doing something that it's like, you don't want to be in a session. This is done on Mondays in dense. Beginner version, advanced version, the idea is to be using a bar and weight. Beginner would be to master your body, maybe some dumbbells. 10 sets of 10 in 20 minutes. And the idea is that I don't want you doing this exercise and seeing, oh, what level will I hurt myself? That's what's so cool about this is you can take a level that you can really dominate. If you can do 10 sets of something in 10 minutes, or if it's a single leg exercise in 20 minutes. So I'm controlling, lowering only my heel. That way I can't push off with that foot. Controlling. And so I actually noticed that this week, even though I still made my 2% increase, the weight felt easier, but that doesn't mean I'm just gonna do it more next week. I'm gonna try to keep dominating more. And again, I'm deviating from the plan a bit just by doing this, but just showing you an example. So with the row, we had the simplest example. You're really pretty much just lifting a weight. Tibialis raise got more complex because of a very small weight. Then the Nordic got kind of really difficult because mainly you're just trying to be able to lower and control your body down as straight as you can. So it's really hard to measure such tiny changes. And an exercise that seems to work well on such a long, patient scale. And then here, you now have this mixture of body and load. And so somewhere you're gonna go from assisting yourself to unassisted to loaded. So what's 2% along that process is really get to where you can handle your own body weight and then add about 2% of your body. And then you can just keep loading, and doing so in a way that you're not guaranteed to fail. That's all we're trying to do. This isn't perfect. I really like things that are workable. They're effective and workable. So hopefully this helped you. It's helped me a lot. See ya.